The rain slowed to a mist as cars sped across the wet road. Under the old bridge in Lagos, a noisy crowd formed a circle around a young woman. She had a huge baby bump and was disheveled, brown-skinned and shaking badly. Her name was Amanda, and her dress was torn with messy hair from cold nights. "Who is the father?" Amanda's hands trembled as the crowd leaned in closer to hear her answer. A black Bentley pulled to the curb and the door opened suddenly. A tall, dark-skinned man stepped out in a bright white CF tan with a red cap. He looked rich and important, the sort of person people only saw on TV. His name was David Johnson, the tech genius of Nigeria who built big companies. He created the biggest innovation company in Africa with labs and coding hubs. People knew his face from billboards and award shows across the country. They also knew the whispers about his greatest mind and empty home life. Richest smile, no child. Some people whispered behind his successful back. The elderly woman repeated, "Who is the father of your babies?" Firmly, Amanda lifted her arm and pointed straight at the man in white. David froze, his heart kicked hard against his ribs in shock. The crowd gasped as someone whispered, "Isn't that the billionaire who can't have children?" Amanda swallowed hard. "He is the one," she said clearly and boldly. Someone called out, "Boss David, talk now," demanding an immediate response. Amanda's face twisted as she grabbed her side in sudden pain. A sharp pain sliced through her belly, making her bend forward quickly. She cried out in agony as the elderly woman shouted, "Make space." David stepped into the circle without thinking. As the crowd fell back, he caught Amanda by the shoulders before she slipped to the wet ground. She looked up at him with eyes full of fear and hope. "Please," she whispered softly. "Don't leave me," she begged him desperately. David's voice shook as he replied, "I won't leave you alone." Another pain hit her hard, and Amanda screamed in intense agony. People ran to find a taxi as someone waved for help. "Hospital! Hospital!" The crowd shouted in urgent and panicked voices. Thunder rumbled far away like a giant drum beating loudly. David looked at his driver and shouted, "Open the car now." The driver sprinted quickly as doors swung open wide immediately. The smell of leather and rain filled the air inside the car. Amanda clutched David's hand tightly. "They said it's twins," she whispered, tears mixing with rain as she repeated, "They said it's twins." David's world tilted as he felt light and heavy simultaneously. He could hear his watch ticking and his own heart pounding. The old whispers, like infertile, hopeless, never pressed in like fog. He looked at Amanda's brave and terrified face with fierce determination. "Get in," he said urgently. "We're going now to the hospital." As he lifted her into the back seat, the crowd leaned in. Phones recording, voices flying as some cheered and some doubted. Some prayed quietly while a siren wailed in the distance. The Bentley door slammed shut as the driver jumped behind the wheel. Just as the car lurched forward, Amanda gasped and gripped David's arm. She cried out loudly, "My water just broke," in pain. The Bentley's tires hissed against the wet asphalt as it pulled away. Inside, Amanda's grip on David's arm tightened until her knuckles turned white. Her breath came in short gasps, with wet hair sticking to her face. David leaned forward urgently. "Step on it," he barked at the driver, his calm business voice gone in the face of this emergency. The driver nodded and pushed the car to its limits quickly. He weaved through traffic with wipers, beating fast against the rain. Amanda winced as another contraction tore through her body painfully. I can't," she said weakly, her voice breaking slightly. "You can," David said firmly while holding her hand tightly. One hand holding hers, the other wiping her forehead with his handkerchief. The sharp scent of rain mixed with faint leather inside the car. Beneath it all was the raw human scent of fear and urgency. Outside, Lagos blurred by with yellow buses honking loudly everywhere. Street vendors sheltering under plastic sheets from the pouring rain. Puddles reflecting the grey sky as people stared at the Bentley. The sleek car raced through the rain with hazard lights flashing. David's mind spun wildly. "Twins," she said. "Twins," he thought repeatedly. He had imagined this moment for years in private thoughts alone, where no one could laugh at him for hoping against hope. And now, against all science and whispered gossip, it happened. Life had put it in his back seat unexpectedly and dramatically. He remembered the hurt from the last fertility clinic visit, the cold tone of the doctor who said chances were slim. He remembered the pity in his friends' eyes and ex-wives' faces. But now there was Amanda, trembling, holding the proof inside her, that the impossible was possible in this miraculous moment. A sharp cry from Amanda snapped him out of his thoughts. "We're almost there," he assured her with a steady voice. The hospital came into view with bright emergency lights shining, a modern building ready for such urgent medical situations. The driver swerved into the entrance, stopping right at the doors. David scooped Amanda into his arms without thinking twice. The rain soaked his caftan, but he didn't care at all. He carried her inside, his shoes squeaking against the tiled floor. "She's in labor, twins," a nurse announced loudly and quickly. They wheeled her into the delivery room with great speed. David followed until a nurse stopped him at the door. "Sir, you can't come in here right now," she said softly. "I'm not leaving her," David said, his voice sharp and determined. "You can stay in the waiting area," she said gently. "We'll call you if there's any problem," the nurse promised. Reluctantly, he stepped back as the door closed firmly. He sat on the bench, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tightly. Every few seconds, he glanced toward the door anxiously. The sounds came through: Amanda's cries, doctor's calm instructions, the rolling of equipment, and his heart pounding with every noise. He didn't notice the hospital staff whispering and glancing at him, recognizing the billionaire on magazine covers from recent awards, the one people said would never have a child ever. Minutes stretched like hours in that tense waiting area. Then came the cry, not one, but two thin, high-pitched wails. They pierced the air like sunlight through dark clouds. David's chest tightened as his eyes blurred with tears. He didn't realize he was smiling until a tear slid down. A doctor emerged, her face lit with a proud smile. "Congratulations, Mr. Johnson. 2 healthy baby girls," she announced. The words hit him like a blessing he long awaited. He stood shaky and followed her inside the delivery room. Amanda lay on the bed, exhausted but smiling faintly now. In her arms were 2 tiny bundles wrapped in pink blankets, their faces soft and new, their tiny fists curled like secrets. Amanda nodded carefully as he took one baby in each arm. 2 words leaped out at him like a sunrise, breaking the dark: paternity confirmed. Both girls 100% his. David's knees weakened as he sank into the chair, laughing under his breath, the sound tangled with tears. He didn't try to hide his overwhelming emotions. All the years of being told, "You can't," dissolved in that single line of ink on paper. He stepped back into the ward with results in hand. Amanda was awake now, her hair messy but face glowing, as she fed Justina with a tender expression. "It's official," he said softly. "They're mine," he announced. Amanda's eyes glistened with joy. "I told you," she replied. David knelt beside her bed with deep gratitude. "From today, you and the girls are under my protection. My home is your home," he promised her sincerely. But before Amanda could answer, voices rose in the hallway. Clara was back, and she wasn't alone this time. 2 reporters stood beside her with cameras ready. David's chest tightened as he moved quickly to block their view at the doorway with firm stance. "Turn around and leave," he commanded them sternly. One reporter spoke up boldly. "Mr. Johnson, is it true? The mother of your children is a homeless woman you picked up in the rain. Does this mean you've been lying about your condition all these years?" The reporter pressed. Amanda clutched Juliana closer, fear flashing in her eyes. David's voice was steady, but there was steel underneath. "Leave now or I'll make sure you never step foot." In another press conference again, he warned seriously. The reporters hesitated, glancing at each other uncertainly. Clara smirked, clearly enjoying the chaotic scene unfolding. "You can't hide them forever, David," she said mockingly. David took a step forward, his height filling the space. "Maybe I want them to see," he replied defiantly. Something in his tone made Clara falter slightly. She turned sharply and walked away from the room, the reporters following reluctantly behind her steps. When David closed the door, Amanda exhaled shakily. "Who was that woman?" she asked with curiosity. "No one you need to worry about," David said, forcing a small smile. "Not anymore," he assured her, but inside, he knew this was only the first shot in a battle he hadn't planned for at all. Clara was right about one thing: word would get out, and when it did, there would be more people ready to challenge him. Amanda, and their new family. He looked down at his daughters, small and unaware of the storms outside their warm hospital room. David swore to himself that no matter what came, no ex-wife, no reporter, no rumor would take them from him ever in this lifetime or beyond. What he didn't know was that someone else had set a plan in motion to do exactly that soon. 2 days later, the hospital's private ward was different. The once cold clinical room now felt warmer inside, filled with soft baby cries and fresh flowers from well-wishers. The faint scent of powder and new clothes lingered. Amanda was stronger, her cheeks no longer pale now, her eyes brighter as she cared for the twins. David had been there every moment without fail, signing papers, paying bills, buying new clothes for them. But even in his happiness, he felt pressure building. Outside those hospital walls from spreading news, the news of his miracle was spreading faster, uncontrollably. It started with a single online post going viral, a blurry photo of him carrying Amanda into hospital, with caption, "Is this the billionaire's miracle family?" By the next day, gossip blogs twisted the story ugly. Some headlines called Amanda the billionaire's gold digger harshly. Others hinted she had trapped him in scandal. Anonymous voices questioned if the twins were his. David ignored most of it, but on third morning, a small envelope arrived at the nurse's station. With his name written in sharp black ink, a nurse handed it to him carefully and said, "This was dropped off by someone in a hoodie. Sir, they left before I could ask questions." David opened it, frowning deeply at the contents. Inside was a single sheet of paper neatly folded. In bold red letters, it read a chilling message. "Those twins will never leave this hospital alive. If you don't walk away from the mother now." His stomach turned cold as he read it again, slower this time, hoping the words would change. They didn't, and Amanda noticed his pale expression as he stepped back into the room quietly. "What's wrong?" she asked, holding Juliana against her chest. He forced a small smile to reassure her. "Nothing you need to worry about, just business matters." But she wasn't convinced by his weak attempt. "David, you're a terrible liar," she said knowingly. He didn't answer, tucking the note into his pocket, and walked to the window, staring at the street. Somewhere out there, someone wanted to destroy happiness.